Okay, everybody, thanks so much for joining us today. Of course, for the announcement of the 2018 inductees to the BC Football Hall of Fame. I'd like to say thank you to the BC Lions Football Club. Where's Rick? There's Rick. Rick's on his way in here right now. Thanks so much to the BC Lions Football Club for letting us piggyback on your press conference today. Rick, thanks again. And we'll get started here. So, brief history of the BC Football Hall of Fame. We've been in operation now for 10 years, and we do have a virtual hall, the bcfootballhalloffame.com. We now have two exhibits. One exhibit is at the BC Sports Hall of Fame, and we have another exhibit at the Richmond Olympic Oval. We've just renewed those partnerships as of last week, so we're really pleased with that. Where you can see a lot of BC football memorabilia, as well as some of my father's memorabilia from his days spanning over a number of different football leagues. And of course, we're here today because of Bob and his dream. And his dream was to develop the BC Football Hall of Fame for all football fans across British Columbia. Football was Bob's passion, and of course, he began as a water boy and eventually worked his way through the CFL, NFL, and the XFL. With all of his successes, he never lost touch of the grassroots of football, amateur football, and the importance that it plays in our development of athletes and, of course, citizens in our local communities. This was one of the many reasons he wanted to have a legacy or leave a legacy that would honor our football heroes of yesterday, today, and tomorrow, and in particular to recognize the unsung heroes from amateur football. As in the past, our 2018 inductees are an outstanding group who have brought excellence and pride to football at all levels in British Columbia. Our nominations committee has worked very hard to bring forward this year's pool of nominees. And again, thank you for joining us today, gentlemen. It's really a pleasure to have you. I'd like to thank all of our contributors, the fans who nominate through our website, as well as our trustees and all others who formed the nominations committee under the direction of Jack Farley. Jack, and now George Oswald. And I don't see that George isn't here yet. He should be here in a moment. George has been associated with the Hall and, of course, with amateur football and professional football for many years, and was recently inducted as a builder in 2016. And, of course, Jack Farley's leadership of the nominations committee over the past 10 years was passed on to George earlier this year. I'd like to thank Jack for his outstanding contribution to the BC Football Hall of Fame, as well as everything that he's done for us over the past 10 years. Without his direction and leadership, our nominations committee would simply not be where we are today. Since the inception of the BC Football Hall of Fame, we have inducted 10 teams, 92 individuals, and 2 organizations under the Special Award category. And again, thank you, Jack, for your tireless work in supporting the Hall and Football BC. Not only has Jack served as a trustee, but also he was the 2012 recipient of the CFL Bob Ackles Award. I'd also like to thank the BC Football Hall of Fame Board of Directors, who in conjunction with the trustees arrived at the final selections. And of course, board members who are here today are my mother, Kay Ackles, and our CEO, Tom Malone. And I'd like to also acknowledge George Chaika as being a trustee on the board as well. Thank you to our partners, the Vancouver Sun, the province, TSN Radio, Business in Vancouver, and especially the BC Lions Football Club for their outstanding support in providing staff, resources, and the opportunity for all football fans to recognize and honor our inductees during the halftime at the November 3rd game versus the Calgary Stampeder Football Club. So now we're gathered here today to find out who those inductees are. So there's a press kits that you have already grabbed, I see, and certainly I'm going to run through the categories and then announce who the individuals and team and organization. And I'm not going to run through everybody's achievements because we'll be here for quite a long time if I were to do that. So we'll save that for the induction ceremony on November 3rd. Under the athlete category, our athletes are any athlete who has attained a high level of excellence and brought recognition or honor to British Columbia football on a national or international level. Both amateur and professionals have been considered. There have been literally thousands of individuals who have made their mark on the football community. Whether they were born and raised in our great province or came here to play the game, the athlete class recognizes all-time great players. This year, from the professional ranks, we welcome our first athlete, Nick Orange Shoes Hebler. Congratulations, Nick. Welcome to the Hall. And thank you for being here today. Rick Kalassin, Rick Colason, welcome to the hall, and of course Rick's daughter, Jill. Where's Jill? There you are, Jill. Thank you so much for coming, along with Jill's young daughter, Madeline, and of course we have Patricia Colason here as well with us. Patricia, where are you? Please wave. Thank you. And of course our next professional athlete is Mike Kasich, part of the Headhunters and the 1964 Grey Cup team of the BC Lions. The next group of athletes represents the grassroots of football, and they are being celebrated for their contributions to amateur football. The first amateur athlete being inducted is John Beaton. John's not able to be here with us today. Our second amateur athlete is Akbal Singh. Thanks so much for joining us today, Akbal. And our final amateur athlete is J.R. Davies, who's in Texas and wasn't able to join us today as well. Our builders for the next category. Our builders is a person who has made an outstanding contribution to the sport of football in British Columbia, other than a player. This category shall include former coaches, either amateur or professional, an active or inactive club executive or administrator or a contributor to the game, such as a formal official or any person involved with the team or league operation. And I'm very pleased to announce the following individuals who are enter the hall as builders of our game. Dave Ritchie, who's in the U.S. and Florida now and not able to join us. I understand he is coming for the induction ceremony, Wally. And our second builder is Don Berger, and you may recognize Don. Of course, many of you probably know Don. And of course, his young son Mitch Berger was also a household name from his time in the NFL and was inducted as an athlete in 2015 into the BC Football Hall of Fame. Our next builder is Wayne Steele, who of course many of you know as well, under the referee category. Our final builder is Bob DeJulius, who wasn't able to join us today as well. And under the media category recognizes any person who attained a high level of excellence and made a significant contribution to the enjoyment of football in British Columbia through the medium of print, radio, television, and any other similar form of media. The media class also recognizes those individuals who have helped develop a fan following of our great game. Our media inductee for 2018 is none other than Mike Beamish. Mike, congratulations. And I see that Lowell, our 2016 inductee, is hiding in the hallway back there as well. Thanks for joining us, Lowell. Team. The team category is any team that has attained a high level of excellence and brought recognition or honor to football in British Columbia to a national or provincial level. Our team for the class of 2018 is none other than the 1968 Notre Dame Jugglers. Congratulations, gentlemen. Thanks so much for joining us today. And of course, we have head coach Al Blesh, as well as coach George Oswald. He must be stuck in traffic. And of course, players are Joe Gluska, who's team captain, currently president of the BC Community Football Association, and Brent Dykow, team captain, Vince Sicaro, Ennio Benvenuto. I know I was going to get this. Benvenuto. There we are. Dave Durante, John Vasa, Jim Levis, Joseph Smith, Don McClellan, and Benny Delfonso. Thank you so much for joining us today, gentlemen. And the BC Football Hall of Fame Special Award. This is a special recognition award and is presented from time to time. It doesn't happen or occur every year to an individual or organization who has made a significant contribution to football in British Columbia, but who would not otherwise qualify for induction into the BC Football Hall of Fame. The recipient of the special award must exemplify great character and dedication and provide inspiration to present and future generations. And this year's recipient of the BC Football Hall of Fame Special Award are the Vancouver Island Raiders Junior Football Club. Congratulations. And thanks so much for Tyler McLaren, president of the BCFC, as well as today we have Hadi Abbasi and Kabul Atwal. Thanks so much for joining us today, gentlemen. And lastly, we have the CFL Bob Ackles Award. The CFL Bob Ackles Award, sponsored by the CFL, is presented annually to an individual who has made a significant and outstanding contribution to the sport of football in British Columbia and to the Canadian Football League. The CFL Bob Ackles Award for 2018 will recognize and honor Mr. Wally Buono. Thanks, Wally. So the next step to formally celebrate all of our inductees will take place November 3rd prior to the BC Lions football game against the Calgary Stampeders. And as mentioned, some of our inductees are here today for the media. Please take advantage of the opportunity and speak to our inductees. I'd also encourage all of you to visit our website and to encourage as many nominations as possible. We've got great representation through this year's of inductees of the Vancouver Island, as well as the Okanagan with Joe and your leadership in the Okanagan. And certainly through the media's promotion and awareness, we're always asking and encouraging people to nominate our next year's group, or at least give us some more. We've got a lot of depth in the field of all the different categories, but we need to get more people recognized, at least to our coffers, so that we can continue to do this great work through the football community in British Columbia. So that concludes our announcement today. Again, thank you so much for joining us, and best of luck to the Lions tomorrow against the Argos. Thank you. And we'll take a few photographs if we can get some photographs. So if we can have all the inductees